What if the world you see is only the surface, just the skin of a deeper reality pulsing beneath? You wake up, you touch objects, you see forms, you make choices, and you assume these experiences are built from solid things. Atoms, matter, time moving forward, 1 second at a time. But what if that assumption is the greatest illusion of all? What if everything you believe is real is actually a ripple, an echo of something far more fluid, invisible, and powerful than any structure you can touch? This isn't fiction, it's physics. And it begins with one profound realization. Reality is not made of things, it is made of fields. At the root of every particle, every photon, every blade of grass and human heartbeat, there is not a thing, but a field. Invisible, ever-present, and vibrating with possibility. What we call a particle is just a temporary blip, a local excitation in that field, like a wave rising on the surface of the ocean. It appears briefly, then collapses back into stillness. The ocean was always there. The wave was just a momentary expression. This is the quantum field, not a field inside the universe, but the very substrate of the universe itself, the place where information, intention, energy, and form are all entangled. You don't live in the universe. You live through this field. And whether you realize it or not, you are in constant conversation with it. The field is not inert. It listens, it responds, and in its silence, it holds every potential version of reality, every timeline, every future, every possibility waiting to be chosen, felt and embodied. You've felt this before, in those uncanny moments where life bends unexpectedly in your favor, in those dreams that predict what hasn't happened yet, in the way your body reacts to someone's presence before a word is spoken. You may have called it intuition, luck, vibe, but what you were brushing up against was the field. And here's the most radical truth. You don't create reality from nothing. You download it. Like a tuning fork calling in a matching tone, your personal frequency selects and stabilizes one possibility out of infinite ones. It's not magic, it's resonance. You are not separate from the field. You are a node within it. And just as Wi-Fi invisibly connects devices to the same source of information, your consciousness connects you to the field where everything already exists in potential. You don't have to invent the life you want. You just have to become a clear enough signal to receive it. But here's where things get truly interesting. If the quantum field holds everything that could ever be, what gives it form? What collapses potential into something we can see, feel, and experience? That's where we go next. Because if this invisible ocean holds all things, then what stirs its surface into motion? What pulls one outcome from the sea of infinite probability? In the next section, we'll dive deep into one of the strangest, most humbling discoveries in modern science. A force that exists even in absolute nothingness, buzzing beneath all movement, all matter, and even space itself. It may be the stillest place in the universe, but it's far from empty. Let's explore the zero-point field and discover how the quietest space in physics might hold the loudest truths of your existence. If something in you stirred while reading this, if the field inside you responded, then stay close. Subscribe, not just to this channel, but to the frequency we're tuning into together. Because the deeper we go, the more real it gets. Imagine a place where nothing moves, no sound, no heat, no particles bouncing or colliding, no waves, no winds, no whispers, just stillness, absolute and complete. Now imagine that this place, this deep cosmic silence, is not empty at all, but buzzing with untapped energy. Energy so subtle, so constant, it forms the baseline hum of the universe. It's not loud, it's not obvious, but it's there, in the background of everything, invisible, but inexhaustible. This is the zero-point field. In quantum physics, it refers to the lowest possible energy state of a system, the ground floor, the vacuum. But this vacuum is not a void, it's a sea, a field teeming with quantum fluctuations even when all known energy is removed. It's the space between everything and inside everything. And despite being empty, it contains more raw power than anything we've ever built. Let that sink in. The very space between your thoughts, between the atoms in your hand, between galaxy is not empty. It is charged with potential, with vibration, with information. Think of it like the canvas behind all paintings. No matter what image appears, chaos, beauty, conflict, the canvas never leaves. It holds all expressions but is defined by none. The zero-point field is that canvas, and you unknowingly are painting on it with every breath you take. And this isn't theory, it's been measured. In the famous Casimir effect, two metal plates placed a tiny distance apart inside a vacuum will experience a force pulling them together, not because of any external energy, but because of fluctuations in the empty space between them. Something is alive in that nothingness. It's as if the universe is whispering, even in stillness, I am. Now here's where it gets personal. Ancient mystics spoke of a state beyond thought, a void beyond mind, the Tao, the unmanifest, the Akasha. They didn't call it the zero-point field, but they felt it. And they knew, to access true power, you don't chase movement, you enter stillness. Because from that stillness, everything is born. When you quiet your mind, your nervous system drops below the noise. Your cells begin to tune into the foundational frequency of the field. You stop chasing and start matching. You become a harmonic node in the greater symphony of all that is. And from that place, creation becomes not a task, but a consequence. This is the paradox. The more still you become, the more powerful your signal. Because when you're no longer broadcasting chaos, you're finally able to receive. The ideas that feel like downloads, the clarity that doesn't come from logic, the sense of being guided not by willpower, but by something deeper, quieter, and far more intelligent than thought. That's the field speaking. That's the download beginning. But what if this silent field isn't just energy? What if it's also intelligent? What if the same force that holds galaxies together also responds to the rhythm of your heart? What if it not only contains your future, but feels your frequency and shapes itself accordingly? In the next part, we'll explore a daring idea, one that bridges ancient wisdom and modern physics. The possibility that the quantum field is not just a neutral background, but a divine matrix, a conscious, interactive force that reflects who you are and responds to what you become. Let's step into that possibility next. If the zero-point field is the silent canvas of creation, then the divine matrix is the brush that paints and the painter who watches. It is the idea that the quantum field is not only energetic, but relational, not passive, but participatory, that when you move, it moves with you, that every breath you take, every intention you hold is not lost in a cold, mechanical universe, but felt, met, reflected. For centuries, spiritual traditions whispered that the universe is alive, not just full of life, but fundamentally conscious. And now, through the lens of quantum science, we are beginning to glimpse a framework that echoes that same truth. The field doesn't merely contain possibility. It responds to coherence, to emotion, to awareness. Not because it has a face or a mind, but because it is the structure beneath all experience, and experience itself is never separate from awareness. Gregg Braden called it the divine matrix, a field that connects everything to everything else and translates feeling into form. In his view, the matrix is a conduit. It doesn't just store information, it transfers it instantly across space and time. This mirrors the phenomena of quantum entanglement, where particles remain connected no matter how far apart they are. But Braden took it one step further. What if thoughts and emotions also function like quantum signals? What if love is not just a chemical surge, but a frequency that shapes the field around you? What if prayer, intention, and even memory leave an imprint? Not metaphorically, but literally. In this light, your body becomes a transmitter, not a prisoner. Your heart becomes a center of coherent energy that the field mirrors in return. Coherence, then, is not just spiritual hygiene. It is a form of communication with the divine matrix. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions align, you send a steady signal. And that signal does not go unnoticed. It folds space around it. It resonates with versions of reality that match its tone. This isn't poetic abstraction. It is the lived experience of people across cultures and centuries who report miracles, synchronicities, guidance, and transformations not explainable by logic alone. It's the physics of prayer, the mechanics of grace. But this matrix doesn't respond to performance. It responds to resonance. You can say all the right words and visualize all the right outcomes. But if your internal state is chaotic, the field responds to the chaos, not the script. Because the field does not speak English. It speaks frequency. And frequency comes not from what you wish, but from what you are. The divine matrix listens to the tone of your being, not the volume of your effort. This is why some people manifest effortlessly while others struggle despite trying so hard. The difference isn't luck or worthiness, it's alignment. Those who seem to bend reality aren't forcing outcomes. They are attuned. Their nervous system, their emotions, their choices, they're all playing the same note. In the field, being intelligent but impersonal shapes itself around that note. Just like iron filings organize around a magnet, outcomes organize around coherence. When you become the field responds. This changes everything, because it means you are never truly stuck. You are never waiting on permission. You are never cut off from potential. You are simply tuning into one version of reality while others remain available. And the way you shift isn't through force, it's through refinement, through regulating your signal until it's clean enough to stabilize a new possibility. So ask yourself, what am I feeding into the matrix each day? What vibration am I broadcasting when no one is watching? Because whether you call it God, Source, the universe, or the field, it's not judging you, it's mirroring you. Not perfectly, not punitively, but precisely, not what you think, what you are. And that leads us to a truth even more intimate. If the field reflects frequency, then your energy is not just affecting your reality, it's influencing everyone connected to you. This isn't just about manifestation anymore. It's about communication. You are not a closed system. You are an open signal in a living network. Your energy moves through your relationships, your home, your community, and beyond. What you feel, what you radiate, shifts the environment around you. Which brings us to something even more essential. If your energy is a language, what exactly are you saying? And how do you refine that message? Not just once, but continuously, moment to moment, breath to breath. That's what we'll explore next. Because it's time to move beyond concepts and into calibration. It's time to learn how your system, your body, breath, and heart is constantly shaping your personal field. Not with effort, but with rhythm. Not with force, but with frequency. Let's go there now. If the quantum field is alive, if it listens, if it mirrors, not your wishes, but your coherence, then the next question is not philosophical. It's deeply practical. What signal are you actually sending? Most people believe they're broadcasting their thoughts, but that's only the surface. Your true signal is not what you think. It's what you are, a composite frequency created from your emotions, your body state, your unconscious patterns, and your choices when no one's watching. You might repeat affirmations in the morning, but if you spend the rest of your day bracing for disappointment, the field hears the tension, not the words. You might script abundance, but if your breath is shallow and your chest tightens every time you check your finances, what's being broadcast is scarcity. And the field, it doesn't judge. It simply reflects, accurately, consistently, mechanically. This is why so many people feel like they're doing everything right, but nothing moves, because they're treating energy like a performance instead of a language. They're focused on volume instead of tone. And just like a musical instrument out of tune, even a beautiful melody can sound dissonant if one string is off. Your system is no different. Your breath, your posture, your micro reactions. These are not background noise. They're part of your transmission. Every flinch, every sigh, every contraction speaks. The question is, are you listening to what your body is saying to the field? Science is catching up. Research from the HeartMath Institute shows that your heart generates an electromagnetic field measurable several feet outside the body. That field shifts instantly based on your emotional state. When you're in fear, your heart rhythm becomes jagged, erratic. When you're in gratitude or calm, your rhythm becomes smooth, coherent. And coherent rhythms influence not only your own brain, but the nervous systems of those around you. You become, quite literally, a tuning fork. And this is not metaphor, it's frequency, it's field physics. The implications are radical. It means that your presence is not passive, it's creative. You are shaping the field around you by the way you breathe, the way you feel, the way you move through space. Not because you're forcing anything, but because energy is never still. It's always broadcasting. The only question is, with what quality? Are you transmitting noise, or signal, chaos, or coherence? To understand this more clearly, let's break it down. Imagine a signal tower. If the antenna is misaligned, pointed slightly off, full of static, the message never reaches its destination clearly. It cuts out, it scrambles. But if the tower is tuned, steady, resonant, then the signal lands clean. The same is true for your nervous system. When you're dysregulated, stuck in survival mode, overwhelmed or overthinking, your signal is fragmented. You might have the right intentions, but the field receives confusion, and reality responds accordingly. False starts, emotional whiplash, things half manifested, then gone. But when your system is regulated, when breath flows easily, when the body softens, when thoughts and emotions move in harmony, you become a strong antenna. You're not trying to send anything, you're simply being a frequency that calls reality to match. This is why your state of being is the most powerful force in creation. Not because it forces outcomes, but because it magnetizes them. In the field, like attracts like is not a cute slogan, it's a physical law. The field doesn't bring you what you want. It brings you what you match, and matching doesn't happen in your intellect. It happens in your energy. That's why desire alone is never enough. You can want something with every fiber of your thinking mind, but if your baseline frequency is fear, the field will reflect the fear, not the dream. This might sound discouraging at first, but it's the most empowering thing you'll ever realize, because it means you're not waiting on anything to change outside of you. You don't have to chase. You don't have to force. You simply have to tune. And tuning doesn't mean fixing, it means feeling, regulating, becoming present enough to notice your pattern and soft enough to shift it. So instead of asking, how do I make it happen? Try asking, what signal am I sending right now? Not when you're meditating, not when you're scripting, but when you're stuck in traffic, when you're scrolling, when you're tired. Those are the moments that define your field, not because they're dramatic, but because they're consistent. The field responds to your pattern, not your performance. And if you want to shift the pattern, you don't need more knowledge. You need more awareness. Feel your breath. Notice your posture. Track your tone. These are not small things, they're your transmission. And when you refine your signal, the field doesn't resist, it reflects. So if energy is your language, the real question becomes, what kind of reality are you fluent in? Scarcity, control, trust, grace? The answer is in your body, not your ideas, because your body is the message, which brings us to a crucial turning point. If everything is broadcasting and receiving, if your energy is shaping reality moment by moment, then how does this relate to manifestation? How does this explain why some people seem to effortlessly align with their desires while others chase endlessly and stay stuck? The truth is, manifestation isn't magic, it's mechanics. And once you understand how the field responds to your baseline, not your rituals, you'll stop forcing outcomes and start calibrating alignment. Let's unpack that next. Most people misunderstand manifestation. They treat it like a cosmic vending machine. Insert desire, wait for delivery. They try to manifest by visualizing harder, scripting longer, reciting affirmations louder. And when nothing changes, they assume something's wrong with them. Maybe they don't deserve it. Maybe they're not spiritual enough. But the truth is far less mystical and far more empowering. Manifestation isn't magic, it's mechanics. And once you see the process clearly, the struggle softens. The illusion of control dissolves, and you begin to move with the field, not against it. The field doesn't reward effort, it responds to signal. Not what you want, what you're being. That's why you can't manifest abundance from a place of desperation. You can't align with love while radiating self-rejection. You can't call in peace while bracing for impact. These contradictions don't make you wrong. They make you human. But they also explain why doing all the right things often leads nowhere. Because the field isn't waiting for your rituals. It's mirroring your rhythm, the nervous anticipation, the subtle clenching, the way your jaw tightens when you say, "I trust," but secretly check for evidence every 5 minutes. These microsignals are loud in the quantum field. Here's the key. Manifestation happens not when you want something, but when you become the version of yourself who already has it. That version breathes differently, thinks differently, moves through the day from a different frequency, not because circumstances have changed, but because their inner atmosphere has. And the field picks up on that atmosphere before the world ever does. The field doesn't need proof, it needs coherence. Let's be clear, this isn't about pretending. It's not about faking joy when you feel grief or smiling your way through chaos. It's not about performance at all, it's about embodiment. It's about being honest with yourself and gently aligning the pieces of your system so they stop fighting each other. You're not here to trick the universe. You're here to match it. And matching doesn't happen through force, it happens through frequency. When the thoughts in your head, the emotions in your chest, and the posture of your body all say the same thing, the field listens, and reality bends. That's why some of the most potent manifestation doesn't come from action, but from non-resistance, from letting go of control, from breathing through uncertainty instead of wrestling it, from trusting your signal even when the world looks unchanged. In that space, timelines collapse. The version of you that once felt far away becomes reachable, and not because you chased it, but because you stopped blocking it. Control, as comforting as it may seem, is often the biggest interference. We've been taught that controlling outcomes equals safety. But in the field, control is read as mistrust. It scrambles the signal. Every time you check if it's working, you're telling the field it's not. Every time you over-monitor the timeline, you're unconsciously delaying it. This isn't punishment, it's precision. The field doesn't punish doubt, but it does reflect it. So what do you do instead? You become the clearest version of the signal you want to send. You act from the frequency of already done, not just with your thoughts, but with your entire being. If the version of you who is abundant walks with ease, breathes slowly, sets boundaries without guilt, then start practicing those traits now. Not to earn the outcome, but to become the match. Because manifestation is not something you force, it's something you tune into. This tuning process is not always instant, and that's okay. The timeline isn't a test, it's a mirror. If something hasn't shown up yet, it doesn't mean it's not coming. It may simply mean your system is still aligning. Your baseline still needs softening. Your signal still needs stabilizing. This isn't failure, it's feedback. And the most powerful manifestors listen to that feedback. They recalibrate, they return over and over again. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you stop needing the outcome to feel whole, the outcome begins to move toward you. Not as a prize, but as a reflection. Your peace becomes the magnet. Your steadiness becomes the bridge. And reality starts to organize around the new version of you. Not because you begged for it, but because you embodied it. So if things aren't manifesting as you hoped, don't push harder. Don't doubt more. Ask yourself instead, what part of me is still misaligned? What frequency am I still leaking unconsciously? Then breathe. Not to fix it, but to feel it. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Just be. Just soften. Just trust that the field is not ignoring you. It's waiting for the real you to arrive fully, which leads to the most important shift of all. If manifestation is a reflection of your inner state, then you don't need to change the world. You just need to change your signal. And that signal lives in your nervous system, your breath, your chemistry, your rituals. Not big, dramatic actions, but subtle recalibrations. So now the question becomes, how do you hold this state consistently? How do you return to alignment on the days when fear creeps in, when old patterns tug at your ankles, when the outer world doesn't yet reflect the inner shift? That's where we go next, because manifestation isn't just about calling something in. It's about holding the frequency when it wobbles, and learning how to return again and again until the new signal becomes your natural state. Let's explore how that return happens. You've probably heard the phrase, trust the process. But in the quantum field, trust isn't just an attitude, it's a frequency. One that either stabilizes your signal or scrambles it. And every moment of your life, whether consciously or not, you are transmitting a signal into the field. You are not just thinking about reality, you are downloading it, moment by moment, based on what you're tuned to. Not theoretically, literally. This tuning is not a one-time act. It's not something you do once in a meditation and then forget. It's a way of living, a rhythm, a conversation with the field that never ends. Every breath, every gesture, every choice is part of that dialogue. When you wake up and choose presence instead of panic, you're tuning. When you speak to yourself with compassion instead of criticism, you're tuning. When you pause before reacting, soften your shoulders, and come back to your body, you are adjusting the antenna. These moments may seem small, but they are the entire mechanism. You don't create the future by wishing for it. You stabilize it by aligning with the version of you who already lives it. And that version becomes your new baseline, not through force, but through repetition. This is how you begin to download a new reality, not by demanding change, but by broadcasting readiness. The universe doesn't respond to urgency, it responds to coherence. That means the version of reality you're aligned with is not summoned by thought, but received by frequency. You don't pull it toward you, you become the doorway it walks through. And that doorway is your nervous system, your emotion, your stillness, your breath. This is the spiritual version of tuning a radio. When the dial is clear, the music comes through. And yes, life will test that signal, not to punish you, but to reflect your edges. The places where you still wobble, still doubt, still grip. These aren't setbacks, they're calibrations, invitations to hold the signal a little longer, a little steadier. The real art is not achieving alignment once. It's learning how to return to it whenever you slip. Because you will slip, you'll forget, you'll contract, and that's okay. The field isn't keeping score. It's simply responding to what you embody now. This is why the most powerful spiritual practice is not control, it's regulation. Not perfection, but presence. Can you come back to your center after the storm? Can you breathe instead of spiral? Can you soften even when it's hard? If so, you're already rewiring the field. You're already becoming a match. And you don't have to do this alone. You're not an isolated signal bouncing through empty space. You're part of a vast, intelligent field, a network of frequencies that influence each other constantly. That's why being around grounded, coherent people changes how you feel. It's why certain rooms feel heavy and others feel like home. Because coherence is contagious. And when you surround yourself with energy that reflects your future, your system starts to entrain to it. You stabilize faster. You remember more quickly. You begin to embody what once felt far away. So start there. Tune your environment like you tune your body. Choose spaces, voices, music, silence, rituals that match the signal you want to hold. Remove the noise. Nourish the clarity. Because the field is always listening, but more importantly, you are always becoming. You're not separate from the field. You are the field folding in on itself as a human experience. When you breathe with intention, when you move with clarity, when you choose love over panic, openness over defense, trust over fear, you're not just being spiritual. You're reprogramming the frequency that writes your life. The version of reality you've been waiting for isn't hiding. It's already here, waiting for resonance. And the more you align, the closer it gets, until the line between desire and embodiment disappears, and what you once chased begins to arrive without resistance. So ask yourself, gently but honestly, what am I practicing today? Panic or presence? Doubt or devotion? Am I treating the field like a machine to manipulate or as a mirror to meet? Because when you meet it with honesty, with steadiness, with reverence, you stop chasing, you start remembering. And reality begins to reorganize around the truth of who you've become. From here, you don't need to force, you don't need to grasp, you don't need to prove. You simply need to live the frequency you've chosen and let the field do what it always does, respond in kind. After all the seeking, all the studies, all the shifts in mindset and language and breath, there comes a moment when something inside you simply knows. You're not here to perform. You're not here to chase some distant version of success. You're not even here to fix yourself. You're here to remember, to reconnect with what was never missing to begin with. The field is not out there, separate from you, waiting to be reached. It's the very essence you've been radiating all along. It's in your stillness, your rhythm, your presence. It's in the space between your thoughts, the quiet before your next inhale, the calm beneath your questions. And once you truly feel this, not think it, not say it, but feel it, your relationship with reality begins to change. Life stops being something that happens to you. It becomes something that happens through you. The timeline you once thought you had to chase starts moving toward you. Opportunities feel less like random luck and more like natural consequences of your coherence. You don't have to control the details anymore, because the frequency takes care of the form. But this isn't a finish line. This isn't the end of a journey. It's the beginning of a new kind of living. One where you wake up not asking, "What do I have to fix today?" but "What do I want to tune into?" One where you check your frequency before you check your notifications, where your nervous system becomes your compass and stillness becomes your strategy. One where you no longer need to constantly reach because you've realized that your being is the broadcast. And yes, you will forget. You'll get pulled back into old loops. That's human. That's part of it. But now you have a way back, a way to return. You have a felt understanding that your power was never in the effort, but in the alignment. The breath, the pause, the quiet yes you whisper when no one else is listening. So what does it mean to live the field? It means moving slower, not to fall behind, but to fall inward. It means breathing deeper, not just for oxygen, but for signal clarity. It means seeing your reactions not as flaws, but as feedback from the frequency you're carrying. It means asking, moment by moment, what am I broadcasting right now? And is it in harmony with what I truly want to receive? Because whether you choose to acknowledge it or not, you are the field in human form. You're not a visitor in this world. You're a transmitter, a co-creator, a bridge between the seen and unseen. Every thought you feel deeply, every emotion you allow gently, every act of grace you offer silently, ripples outward, shapes timelines, rewrites probability. Not because you forced it, but because you remembered who you are. And that's what this journey has always been about. Not learning more, but remembering deeper. So live like your frequency matters, because it does. Speak like the field is listening, because it is. Breathe like each inhale calibrates reality, because it does. And when the noise rises, the fear returns, or the path gets foggy, come back. Not to a concept, not to a strategy, but to the stillness beneath it all. The quiet sea that holds every possibility. The field. It's never been separate from you. It is you. If this message stirred something in you, if the field inside you responded with even the softest yes, then stay close. Subscribe not just to a channel, but to a frequency. A space where we don't chase timelines. We become the signal. Where we don't force reality, we tune into it. Leave a single word in the comments that captures what you're stepping into. Your new baseline. Maybe it's trust. Maybe it's clarity. Maybe it's something only you can name. Let that word be your signal, and let that signal shape the reality that's already waiting for you.